Hey brother! Oh man guys, in case you missed it, a new Finding Dory trailer dropped yesterday on Ellen. And if you haven't seen it yet, then maybe watch this video and then go watch the trailer, and then go back and watch this video again and see what you missed. Today, of course, you reviewed the last trailer, but because I know so much more about marine life than you, I figured I would take a stab at this one, and we got so much new content and characters and scenery that I just wanted to go through and give my in-depth analysis, review, and predictions for Finding Dory. So the first thing I notice before we see anything is that iconic Finding Nemo music. I have seen Nemo so many times that it immediately just immerses me in nostalgia. The first thing we see is a top-down view of Marlin, Nemo, and Dory swimming through the reef. And right out of the gate, the animation is amazing, and the camera work that they're using is so creative. Especially when we're following behind Mr. Ray and he works his way right through a school of yellow fish. Or Anthias, if you want to be technical, which I do. Then we see Mr. Ray teaching a class about migration, and oddly, Dory seems to have some kind of role in this teaching experience, which is unusual. She is facing the class, so possibly she is some kind of assistant teacher, but that seems like a strange choice by Mr. Ray. It could also be the case that she is a chaperone for Nemo, and because the school is on a field trip, that's why she's there. However, it kind of seems like the purpose of Finding Nemo at large was that Nemo did not need to have his hand held throughout the whole process. Fin held throughout the whole process. Or it could be that Nemo is actually chaperoning Dory. We saw in the last trailer that he was really concerned about her swimming off in the middle of the night, so maybe she is with him to prevent that from happening again. Then we get maybe the best shot in the whole trailer, just a wide sweeping view of the migrating stingrays. My first thought is, why isn't Mr. Ray migrating too? But if you want to be technical, and I do, he is an eagle ray and not a stingray. Or else he's just a really hypocritical teacher saying that migration instincts are something you can't resist, and there he is naturally resisting them. Classic eagle rays. I think they're so special. Then as Mr. Ray continues explaining instincts, we see Dory start to examine some seagrass, which seems to spark a memory for her. Also, be sure to keep an eye out for this grass, because it seems to pop up a lot in this trailer, and I feel like it kind of signifies a motif for home or safety for Dory. And we see Dory telling Nemo and Marlin about her I always want to say relevation. Then we see Dory telling Nemo and Marlin about her revelation, and I have to take a second here to just mention how great Marlin's scales look. We got to see them in the night in the last trailer, and this time in the daylight, and they look just as good. Also, how great are those specks in the water? And now we come to the best part of the trailer, the flashback sequence. First, we see 5 little Dorys, or hippo tangs, or blue regal tangs, if you want to be technical. Which I do. I'm assuming this has to be Dory's family, but I'm not sure if it is 2 parents and 3 kids, or if they are all 5 kids. In contrast, we see a huge underwater man-made structure with a small school of fish. And if you look carefully in the foreground, you can kind of see what looks like barrels. Not totally sure what the structure itself is supposed to be, but the barrels make me think oil, or at the very least, some kind of pollution or negative human impact on the environment, which could possibly be causing Dory's separation from her family and or memory loss. So I'm kind of getting the feeling that pollution could be some kind of underlying major theme of this movie, and it is directed by Andrew Stanton, who also did WALL-E, where pollution was kind of a big deal. Moving on, we have a quick but nice looking shot of a kelp forest, but there aren't any real key characters in this shot. I'm not totally sure why it's included. That's immediately followed by a bright light, which kind of resembles the sun, and the opening scene of Finding Nemo. Then we see Dory in an aquarium, which we later find out to be a touch tank for kids, immediately followed by Dory back out in the ocean staring at a school of silver fish with a sunken Volkswagen Beetle behind her, which again is kind of this human impact on the environment. Next is super exciting. We get a look at Dory's parents. What I first noticed is how much her father looks like Marlin if Marlin was a blue regal tang. They have that big worried forehead. It makes me wonder if the reason why Dory was able to actually make some kind of a connection with Marlin is because he was unwittingly actually a connection to home and safety. What's interesting about this shot though is the camera is zooming away from her parents, and fish don't really swim backwards, so if this is Dory's point of view, it's almost as if she is being sucked away. The next scene is Dory sleeping in her brain coral, so it is possible that that's just part of a dream she's having. Next is another shot of kelp, but this time if you pause it, you can see that we're actually under a dock, and that big black thing growing there is not actually kelp, but a post to the dock. Also, if you compare the two kelp shots, the second one looks like the water is really clean and clear, whereas the first one is kind of murky and cloudy. So yet another possible nod to human pollution. However, if this is chronological, we can assume that this might actually be a positive impact because the second scene is so much cleaner. Then we have one more great shot of Dory's parents smiling, and we're back to the present. But before we can continue, we have to talk about the voiceover that's happening during this little flashback sequence, which in true Pixar fashion is utterly heartbreaking. Dory's parents say, "We will never forget you." And Dory responds, "What if I forget you?" All right. Two things. One, "We will never forget you" is a very strange thing for a parent to say to their child. It suggests to me that they know she is going away, whether they are choosing to send her or she is being taken, but they clearly have enough time to be prepared for it. And two, "What if I forget you" suggests that Dory is already aware of her memory problem. And while she's familiar enough with her parents on a daily basis, she's concerned that if she is distanced from them for long enough, she will forget them, which we know is ultimately what happens. And as if that wasn't sad enough, Marlin makes you relive the entire first movie with one word. "I miss them. Do you know what that feels like?" Yes. That is the most powerful yes ever. Thankfully, it gets happier from here as the music seamlessly shifts to Peter Gabriel's Salisbury Hill. Then I get super happy to see that Squirt and Crush are back, riding some current. I'm guessing this is how our heroes are going to be transported to California, where this movie is supposed to be taking place. Next we see Dory in some kind of warehouse in a quarantine tank, and you can actually see somebody behind her possibly feeding her flakes. It looks like she's not there for very long because the next scene shows her in a different tank talking to a whale shark, aka Destiny. What I love is that Destiny, who is a whale shark, speaks to Dory in whale. And if you want to get technical, and you know I do, whale sharks are actually part of the shark family. Either way, this does seem to explain how Dory knows how to speak whale in the first movie. We also find out that Destiny knew Dory before, which suggests that Dory has been to this place before. And Destiny mentions how she could tell Dory the same story over and over again, which also suggests that Dory's memory problems date back at least that far. Then we see Dory in yet another tank. This makes me wonder if we're going to have another Nigel-esque character that is going to move her around so we can actually have set changes. Dory is also now sporting a tag that reads 3181, which I am certain is a Easter egg, but I'm not sure what for. But I bet someone on staff was born on March 1st, 1981. Love the scene with the kids reaching into the touch tank though. Totally reminds me of Toy Story 3 in the butterfly room. Also, how great is the animation on the oxygen glove here? We have to credit Julie from Pixar Post for coming up with that term, but we hope you all use it. We also get a brief shot of Bailey the beluga whale freaking out about something. Holy Neptune! Looking forward to that voice from Ty Burrell. Back to the touch tank, we see Hank the septopus get poked and he inks a little. You guys made me ink! Next we see Dory in what I have to assume is a bait bucket full of dead silver sides. I do love the line, "I have to blink." I don't know how you guys keep your eyes open. Mostly because fish don't blink whether they're alive or dead. And finally, maybe the best clip of the whole trailer, we see Hank trying to, hang on a second, I can't read this word. It's funny, it's spelled exactly like the word escape. Escape. Worth noting that this is possibly their first encounter because Hank does say, "Hey you," as if he doesn't already know who she is. And that's it. Finding Dory coming to theaters June 17th. So far away. My question for you guys is, what was your favorite part about the trailer? Be sure to leave it in the towel section down below. So I know this was kind of long, but if you'd like to see another hour and 35 minutes of dissection of this trailer, you can click right here for a live broadcast Jay and I did last night with Pixar Post and Dan the Pixar Fan. Or if you'd like to see Jay talking about the first Finding Dory trailer, you can click right here to check that out now. But Jay, that is everything that I have for you today, man. I will see you on Tuesday.